don't shoot my son, please don't shoot my son, please, please, please don't shoot my son.
That's what a grieving mother says she said to officers before her son was shot Monday. Cesar Cuellar Jr.'s mother says she and her son had plans to go to breakfast Monday morning, a morning that turned into a mother's nightmare. She says she arrived at his apartment and found two Laredo Police Department officers pointing their gun at him.
Y le estaban apuntando las dos y yo estaba así, mi hijo estaba así con la pistola para abajo, nada, ni decía ni una palabra, estaba sorprendido que estuvieran ellas ahí en la casa, estaba así como congelado.
According to the Laredo Police Department, officers responded to information about a possibly armed man threatening to commit suicide. Cuellar's mother claims she begged the officers not to shoot her son and that he was not putting up a fight. She says he was simply completely still holding a gun.
Le disparó una vez y luego se tardó y pum, le disparó otra vez de vuelta. No seguido, pero no tenía por qué. Mi hijo nunca levantó la arma, nunca.
She doesn't believe the officers did enough to communicate with her son, again saying that he never pointed the gun at the officers.
Le dispararon sin tener por qué, nada, ninguna razón. No quiero justicia, quiero justicia por mi hijo. Quiero que a ellas las desocupen de allí. Ellas no deben de ser, no deben de tener una pistola y una bacha.
Good evening, I'm Yoselin Gallardo. It's been nearly a decade since the fatal shooting of a 25-year-old Webb County Sheriff deputy by two former Laredo police officers. The deputy's family has filed a lawsuit against those they say were responsible for his death.
This 11-page lawsuit outlines what the family says happened on the day of November 9, 2015. In the court documents, it says two officers entered Cesar Cuellar Jr.'s apartment at the Shiloh crossing without knocking or announcing they had entered. After a brief exchange of words, the lawsuit claims one of the officers fired at Cuellar, killing him, his mother witnessing it all. However, police have claimed otherwise. Although the officers involved in the incident didn't face criminal charges and the grand jury did not indict them, the family decided to sue the two officers and the city of Laredo. The lawsuit says the officers used excessive deadly force, among other claims. Jeff Edwards, the Cuellar's family attorney, says they filed the lawsuit to hold the officers and the city accountable.
The law oftentimes is very protective of police officers, and we had to create a fairly creative theory in terms of how we would win the case.
This in hopes that Cuellar's case changes practices in the police department when dealing with someone in distress.
Train your officers how to do check welfare calls, to remind every officer on an at least annual basis of the point of knocking and announcing, and really to remind officers that all people they encounter are not criminals.
After 4 years in federal court last Monday, July 18, during city council, the lawsuit was discussed behind closed doors. The city agreed that the city attorney would settle the case. Edwards says the city settled on $400,000.
Money doesn't bring a young man back. And again, we got to a place where everyone could live with the result.
At the end of the day, the family misses Cuellar and hopes no other family has to go through this.
I stood up against the government to fight for my little boy. He may have been in his 20s, but to Dora and Cesar, that was a baby boy that if you just looked at the photographs on their walls, you could see authentic, true love and loss of companionship.
Cuellar had been with the sheriff's office for a few months. One of the police officers connected to the case had been in the department for 6 years, while the other police officer had been on the job 11 months.